everyone, this is Julie from Heart to Hand. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so glad you could be here and I hope you found some crafting time. Anyway, I've just recently filmed a flip through of my February Hybrid Folio Album, and in that I had created some photo folios to put inside my album, and this is the first one here. It slips into this side loading pocket here. So today I just wanted to come on and talk to you about these and do a quick tutorial for you on how you can make these for yourself. So these photo folios are not part of the tutorial that Kathy has for this hybrid folio, so I can teach this to you and give you some measurements. If you would like the actual tutorial for the album, you will need to purchase that, and I'll leave a link for it in the description box below. But as for these, I was just playing around and wanted something a little different to put my photos in, so I thought I'd share that with you. So this is the first one I've made, and I've decided to, I would have done it differently. Hindsight's a great thing when you're designing, isn't it? You never have it until you're finished. This ended up being quite thick and chunky, and I haven't put my photos in it yet. So while it sits in here nicely at the moment, it's going to get quite thick. So I've made a change to my second one that I'll show you when I come to it. But this one actually has a flip fold inside that I've omitted. So I'll show you what this one looks like, because you can still make this if you invert it. So I'll show you what I mean, but I'll give you a little flip through of this folio. So it simply opens like this, and this holds 5x7 photos and 4x6 photos. So because it's a large album, I wanted those larger sizes. So we have a spot here for a 5x7, and then this flip opens up again, and there's another 5x7, 4x6s, and sorry, these are 4x6s, two of them in this little pocket, and then you have your 5x7 in the background. So they just sit in there like that. Like that. And then over here, I've got, this opens up, and I just have a layout here. Sorry, it's hard to get it all in camera. This is a landscape 5x7 and a landscape 4x6 here. And then I have a little waterfall happening here. So these open up, and I've put journaling spaces here. That's why I've used plain paper to actually journal about these photos. Now I'm not keen on these black hinges, and I do change it up, as I'll show you in the next one. That was one thing I didn't really like. And over here too, I've put plain paper because I want these to be journaling places. Okay, so I'll close that up and move it over here. Now in here, this matting, I've created it as a little hidden pocket. So I have just 4x6 photo mats that slip in there. So they just go inside there like that. Like that. And one down the bottom the same. And then I had a little 1-inch gap in the middle, so I decided to create this cute little tag, and you could pop some words or a quote on there. You might even letter a favorite word or something, and that just slips in there. But this is optional. You can actually glue this closed if you would prefer not to bother with the little tag. So, and then I've kept this plain, but you could certainly put another 4x6 photo mat there if you wanted to. And then it all closes up, and I've matted the back as well. That just helps it to slide in and out. Now, as you can see, it is quite thick to go in this pocket. So what you can do is, when you're creating it, you can turn it around this way and invert it, right? So you would have this obviously turned around the right way. And what you could do then is just put this bottom half into your pocket, and then have this part sitting on top, and you can make sure you coordinate it lovely with your papers as well. So that would be a nice way. If you wanted to actually make this with little flip fold part, you could do it, but just make sure you invert it so it's not all inside the pocket like mine is. So see how that's quite thick in there. Okay, so I'll pull that one out. So I'll show you where I find the other one I've done. This is the other one. So again, this is a right hand side loading pocket. So I do have it going in because I couldn't, these are little, as a little waterfall, and I didn't want anything sitting on top of it. So it did have to go in the pocket. So this one, I've simply just taken the flap off. See, so where this one, when you open it, it opened again with that flap. I've just removed this part just to reduce some of the bulk in there, but everything else is the same. So again, I've got the two 4x6 photo mats in this little pocket. I've got my 5x7 here, so they go in there like that. And again, journaling space here. And again, I've coordinated this paper to go with my pocket. That's why that's there. And it opens up the same, and this is the same. So we have a 5x7, sorry, and a 4x6 landscape here. And then I have my little waterfall happening here. Now, remember those black hinges I had on the other? I decided to change it up to white hinges, and I like that a lot better. So I've still matted, still got a journaling space here, but these white hinges I think look much better. Same on this one. Okay, and then again I have my little photo mats, the 4x6 photo mats that just slide into these little hidden pocket areas in here, which is really nice. Same down the bottom here. And I've got my little cute little tag again that I've got in here. Again, if you don't want the tag, you could glue this closed, but I think it looks pretty cute. So you do have a couple of options with these two photo folios, just depending on how much room you have in your album, and also whether it's going to be in, this could be a left side loading pocket or a right side loading pocket. Okay, you could also have it like me, you could have it going in with the spine edge first, or you can flip it and have this edge going in first. So there's really a lot of versatility with it, and you can really change it up how you like. So in the tutorial that I've filmed that's coming up now, it's actually this one that I've done without the flip, but I do give you the measurements. If you do want to make this one, I give you the measurements for this front cover piece with the flip if you'd like it. Okay, so you would have that option. So hold on tight. I'm about to show you how to make this one, this folio, and hope you enjoy it. To get started, you're going to need to cut your cardstock. I'm using black in this case, but go ahead and use whatever color you're using in your album. Excuse me. So we're going to be cutting the base piece first. So that's this piece, and I'm going to give you the measurements and the score measurements. Okay, so for your base piece, you're going to need to cut a piece that is 10.5 inches wide, so 10.5 inches by 12 inches. So it's the whole width of the cardstock. So you're just going to trim it down to 10.5 inches by 12, and then you're going to pop it in your scoreboard, and you're going to score, let me just check my notes, 4.5 inches. Okay, you're going to make a score from 4.5 inches, and then you're going to fold that, and that's going to be your flap. Okay, so that's the base. Now for the front cover, I'm making mine a little bit different to the previous one I've made. So I'll give you the measurements for this first, for the one without the flap. Okay, so it too measures 10.5 inches in width, but the width here is 6 inches. So 10.5 by 6 inches, and then you're going to score 1/2 inch in from one edge and fold that under. Okay, and that's your hinge. Now if you're going to make the one that I did with the flap, with this flap piece on the front cover, you're still going to cut it at 10.5 inches in the height, but the width across this way will be 11 5/8. So it's 10.5 by 11 5/8. And then you're going to do the same. You're going to score a 1/2 inch hinge on one side, and then you're going to score 4.5 inches in from the other side. So score a 1/2 inch in on one side and 4.5 inches on the other side. So that will give you your hinge, and it will give you your little flap. Okay, so that's if you want to do that one. I'm not doing the flap for my second one, so that's just an option for you. So you might as well go ahead too and cut your little pocket piece. So the pocket piece measures, it's 3.5 inches tall, and it is 6 3/8 of an inch across. Excuse me, 6 3/8. And then you're simply going to score 1/2 inch on each short side and 1/2 inch on one long side only. Okay, and then you're going to place your 3/8 of an inch score tape on the dented side, and then you're going to miter these corners. So you're simply going to cut straight across right to where the score lines meet, okay, on each corner. And you're also going to miter these edges, but not right to the score line. See how I've cut it and left about a 1/16 of an inch to 1/8 of an inch. So just taper those as well. Excuse me, on these pieces on the front cover, I've also done the same thing to this hinge. I've just tapered it, not right to the score line though. Just leave about a 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch here. Okay, so taper that as well. And that's it for the cardstock. So we can begin putting out, once you've done that, you need to fold on all your fold lines. Now on your front cover, the score tape is actually placed on the bumpy side. Okay, so you want to pop it on the bumpy side, and then you're going to fold it, and you're going to take your bone folder and give it a nice crease. Okay, so we're going to take our two pieces. So we'll have our fold on one side, and then our edge here that we're going to actually sit on top of that, and we're going to stick these two pieces together. And I find it easier to flip it over. So I flip it over this way. Excuse me. Flip it over, make sure you've got all your edges matched up on the side, and that this is up to but not over that score line, right? And just make sure it all sits nicely. And then you just remove your score tape, and you just fold that over like that. Use your bone folder. And now we have our front cover attached to our folio. So you should have something that looks like this. Okay, so we'll go ahead and attach our pocket next. Now, before you attach your pocket, this is the time where you need to decide on the orientation of your folio. So that's going to depend on whether you have a right side loading pocket, a left side loading pocket, or if you want to have this spine edge going first or the folded edge going first. So you've got to make those decisions before you put this pocket in. So for me, I'm going to keep it at the same orientation as my other one. So I will have the spine going in first. So mine will sit this way, like this, but you might want to turn yours around. So you can just simply flip it over, and then your pocket would go here. Okay, so yes, that's right, your pocket would go here. So for me though, I'm having mine this way, so you can see my pocket will go here. So it really matters at this point which way you're going to have your folio. Okay, so make that decision, and then we can go ahead and stick our pocket in. So to do that, I'm going to do the bottom first. Now, as I said, I have scored and I've folded. It's really good too to take your bone folder and give that a nice crease like that as well. And I'm just going to remove a little bit of my tape from the bottom. If you're really good at eyeballing and positioning, you can take your whole tape off and just stick it in one go. I'm just not great at doing that, so what we're going to do is we're actually going to line up this bottom edge. So this will be lined up, and you should have about a 1/16 of an inch gap between the edge of your folio and this fold or score line. And I've done that on purpose just so that this will close without that pocket getting in the way. So I'm just going to stick that bit down, and then I'm going to take my tape out. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add, as always, some of my sellotape, because we don't want our photo mats getting caught up on this tab. So it's just a simple matter of popping our tape over the top of it. Like that, and I just burnish this in place. Make sure it's stuck down really well, like that, and then I can pop the sides of my pocket up. Like that. So you should, it's probably a bit hard to see the black, but you should have a little bit of a gap either side, so that closes nice and easily. Okay, so we've got our pocket in place. Now on this side, that's going to hold our 5x7 mat, which measures 5 1/4 by 7 1/4. Okay, that's 5 1/4 by 7 1/4, and it's going to be positioned above our pocket. So you should have about 1/8 of an inch all the way around that photo mat that's going to sit there. Okay, so I'll put that on later, you don't need to see me apply that. Okay, so the next thing I think we're going to do is we will add our little waterfall here of our 6x4 photo mats. When I say 6x4, of course, you know I've added 1/4 of an inch, so they're actually 6 1/4 by 4 1/4 is what they measure. So to do this, you're going to take one and you're going to apply your tape to the back, and we're actually going to stick that one down so that one doesn't move, and then the other two will lift up. Okay, so we will apply this one, and there should be 1/8 of an inch gap all the way around. Like that. Just take the tape backing off. I've already applied this tape ahead of time just to try and save a little bit of time on camera, and so you guys don't get too bored watching me apply tape. Okay, now for the other two, you're going to need a couple of hinges. Okay, so I've cut one here, and I've just cut it in the same cardstock as my photo mats. So you're going to need hinges that measure, they're 1 inch wide, and the width of your photo mat, just under the width actually. So it's 4 1/4, and I've cut this just shy of 4 1/4 in length. Okay, so when you put it there, you'll see how it's just a little bit shorter, just so it doesn't stick out the sides. Okay, and then you're going to score it in the middle, in the center, and you're going to add your tape either side of that score line, and then you're going to fold it in half. Okay, now I've also tapered my edges, leaving a little bit, 1/16 of an inch or so here, not right to the fold line. Okay, and then you're going to simply apply it to the back of your photo mat. Now I'm trying a different thing this time. In my other one, I did black hinges on this one, and I'm not really sure how I feel about it. See how I've got black here, and the photo will cover that, so I'm not too worried about it, but I thought I'd try white hinges this time and see. Either way, you're going to have the reverse color, but I thought I'd just try it and see if I like the white hinges better. So just take your photo mat, I just peel a little bit off. Again, you can peel the whole lot off if you're confident applying it. put it on here, you'll be able to see it easier. And I'm simply just lining up the folded edge of my hinge to the edge of my photo mat. Okay, so fold to the edge of the photo mat. Like that. Okay, and you can burnish that in place as well. Don't know if I did this one, I'm going to do it. Okay, so let's apply the top one. And again, we want to leave 1/8 of an inch border around, and you want to line this up with your bottom photo mat. Okay, so we'll see what these white hinges look like. I wonder if they look better than the black. I don't suppose it really matters at the end of the day. You don't really see them too much. Okay, so we've got our first one on. So you see where I had black up here, now I've got white here. So I am going to mat this, so I think the white might look a little bit cleaner. So anyway, we'll wait and see once I've matted it. Okay, so we want to get this next one in the middle. And what I mean by middle is I want to get the edge of it in between these two edges. So to help you, you can eyeball it again if you're really good at that, go for it. I'm a measurer, so I'm just going to, it should be 4 inches, and so I'm going to put a little pencil mark at the 2-inch mark. That can be rubbed out later, and that's just going to help me to line that up. So now I can line the bottom up with that little mark I've made at the 2-inch mark here. But again, you may not need to do that, and it's not critical. It's not critical. I just feel it looks nicer if it is, you know, halfway. So I'm lining it up there, trying to keep it straight. Just make sure, put your other one on top, make sure it's not hanging out over the top. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. Okay, and there we have all 3 of them there, and they look nice and even, don't they? So they flip up, and then we have one here, and I'm going to place matting in here, and you'll see that later. I'm going to do that off camera. Okay, now for this page it's simply going to be photo mats, and in this one, I've dropped my tape. Here we go. In this one, I've just got a 5x7 photo mat and a 4x6 down here, and I've just added a bit of matting in there. So we'll again do that off camera. So we're going to go ahead and do this pocket now. I'll show you how to do that. And that's really easy as well. Okay, so we're going to take, let me clean up some of this mess. Tape backings, there we go. So now you're going to need to cut your little pocket, and you're going to do that in your pattern paper. So audition this in your album where this folio is actually going to be. That's the best way you can decide whether you need a plain pattern, a plain paper, or if you need a pattern paper, or in my case I'm going to use some of this text because it just happens to go with where I'm actually putting this in my album. Okay, so you're going to cut a piece of patterned paper. Now you'll notice, well you might notice till I take the tape off, but I've actually left, can't really see it, but I've actually left the white edges on this side and down the bottom because you don't actually see this, it's actually on the tab, and so it's better not to waste paper. So I actually go right to the edge where I can, where it's hidden. So the measurement for the pocket is, let me see, it is 11 1/4 of an inch. So 11 1/4 of an inch this way, and then it's 4 3/4 of an inch this way. Okay, so 11 1/4 of an inch and 4 3/4 of an inch. Now if you do that, it's going to give you a 1/8 of an inch edge all the way around, so just like you've matted it. Okay, if you want less, in my case I've got a little bit less, you can change this measurement slightly. You can add 1/8 of an inch. So if you want it bigger, it would be 11 3/8 of an inch, and then this would be 4 7/8 of an inch. So just play around with what you like, but for the usual matting, you'll cut it at 11 1/4 by 4 3/4, and then you're simply going to score on this side and this side 1/2 inch, and one long side 1/2 inch. Okay, and when you're doing this, when you're doing your scoring, put your paper in with your pattern side up. Okay, because we want to fold these under. So pattern side up when you're scoring, and do your score marks, and also be mindful of the orientation of your paper. So for mine, I've got text on it, so I had to be really careful about where I was scoring it. Okay, because you want the base of the pocket, the fold line, to be next to this fold line. All right, so just pay attention when you're actually doing your scoring, that you get those score marks in the right place. Now you'll also notice on the inside I've got 2 lines here drawn. Can you see those? Okay, and they are simply to make room for your photo mats. So all you're going to do is fold the sides in, fold them in, and from the fold line you're going to measure 4 5/8 of an inch, and the same down the bottom from the folded edge, 4 5/8, and you're going to draw a line, and you're going to repeat that from this side, 4 5/8 of an inch from the fold line, and 4 5/8 an inch from the fold line, and draw a line, and that's going to leave you approximately an inch in the middle. Okay, for where we can put our little tag, if you would like to do that. Okay, so once you've got that done, you're going to apply your score tape to the dented side. You're also going to do your mitering. So once again, we're going to cut that off right to where these score lines meet on both corners, and then on the edges we're going to cut them, leaving about 1/8 of an inch to the fold line. Okay, and then once you've done that, you fold them in and give it a really nice burnish, because we want this sitting fairly flat. We want it to kind of look like it's just been matted. It's kind of a hidden pocket. Okay, so to attach this, then the first thing we're going to do is attach the bottom of the pocket. All right, so to do that, I'm going to lift this up a little bit as always, and I'm going to line this up like I would if I was matting it. Okay, making sure I've got my border all the way around nice and even. So it looks nice and even. And then when I'm happy with that, I'm going to take my tape out. Okay, now really important is that we take our sellotape. We need to put some tape across this tab, because we don't want our photo mats getting hooked up on it. That wouldn't be good, and it would just be annoying. So it's just so easily fixed. We'll just burnish that in place. Okay. Now once we have that in place, we now have to add some hinges on these lines, and that's what creates 2 separate pockets. Now you could just glue here and glue here, but the problem with glue is when you stick it down, it squishes, so you're going to lose some pocket space either side. Also, it doesn't allow thickness in your photo mat, okay, because it sticks it straight to the page. But by creating some hinges, it allows for you to have a photo mat that has a photo one side and maybe matting on the other, okay, and it's going to slide in there really easily. So I do prefer to make hinges, and they're so easy to make. All you're going to do is take some of your scrap pattern paper, doesn't matter what color, you're not going to see it, and you're going to cut two that are again 1 inch wide, and you're going to cut them slightly shorter than the length of your pocket. So it will be 4 1/4 less about 1/16 of an inch. So you can see mine here are just under and don't quite make it to this fold line. We don't want them going over. We don't even really want it touching it because it will add too much bulk. So make sure you're about 1/16 of an inch away from there. And then you're going to take your scissors and you're going to, well, sorry, you're first of all going to apply your score tape on the dented side. Okay, you're going to fold it in half, and then you're going to, on one end, you're going to cut it. So again, you're leaving 1/8 of an inch here, but on the other end, you're going to actually trim it right to the score line. Okay, so you can see I've got it right to the score line, a really pointy end. And that pointy end is actually going to go closest to this fold. Okay, this end, your tapered end, will go up near the top. All right, so we can apply those now. So they go here and they go against that line to the pocket side of the line. Okay, so you don't want it sitting like this. You want it sitting so that you have 2 pocket hinges. Okay, that's the way you can check. All right, so let's apply our first one. And I'm simply going to line that top edge up with this edge here, and I'm just going to put it on my line. Actually, I can take that off, it's a short piece. Oh, I'm living on the edge here, taking the whole thing off, guys. Okay, we can line it up. We've got a guideline here, which is really handy. Okay, there we go. I'm just going to burnish that in place, and then you're going to repeat it for the other side like that. So I'll add this and I'll give you a close-up and show you what that looks like. So you'll know you've done it right when you've got about 1 inch still in the middle. Okay, you should still have 1 inch in here, roughly. Okay, so this is what you should have. So can you see how I'm just a little bit away from that fold line, and I'm level, almost level. It's fine. You don't see these. Okay. All right, so make sure you've burnished these really well. You want all this sitting nice and flat. We want all this nice and flat, and we're going to remove the tape backing off all 4 pieces now. Now at this point too, you can decide if you want this pocket. If you can't be bothered making a little tiny tag and you just have no use for a 1 inch tag, you can either apply some score tape in the center here and just stick it down, or just glue it closed. Okay, if you don't want it as a pocket, I would glue it closed. You don't have to glue it closed, but kind of finishes it off. All right, so once you've got all the score tape off, we're going to, I'll flip it around this way. We're just going to bring our pocket down. Like that. Okay, and now we have 2 pockets for our photo mats, and a little one in the middle if you would like it. Okay, so I'll take one of these photo mats out to show you. So it just fits in here. There we go. Like that. And the other one fits the same. Okay, so that's your pocket for your photo mats, and then you have your little pocket for your little tag if that's something you want to do. So here's my little tag. I just got to find where it is. It's just there, and that sits in the middle like that. I just think it's a cute little addition, a little embellishment, just adds a little bit more interest to your folio. But yeah, like I said, you can glue that down in the center if you would like. So that's it for the construction. So all you need to do now is actually add your photo mats and add your matting where you would like it. Again, don't forget to mat in here. And in here, I like to use plain paper because this is a great journaling spot. So you can journal about these photos in these two places, which is really handy. And then I have a nice pattern paper that I'm going to use on the front cover, and you need to mark the back cover too to hide that hinge. But that's all there is to it, so fairly simple. And again, you can adjust this depending on how many photos you have and how much room you have in your album. So I hope you enjoyed making that. It was a lot of fun to put together, wasn't it? And again, it's just so versatile that you can create it in whichever orientation you want. You can add a flap or not add a flap, so it is quite versatile. So I hope you enjoyed that, and hope you can join me for the next photo folio tutorial.